Welcome to Fabloria, where we listen, we relax, and we enjoy timeless fairy tale stories. Adrian Cross was known across many regions as a powerful merchant whose wealth came from distant seas, desert caravans, and rare trade goods. His estate was enormous, built on rolling land far from any crowded city. Marble floors, tall windows, and endless hallways made the house feel more like a palace than a home. Yet, despite his success, Adrian lived in quiet sorrow. His beloved wife, Lillian, had died years earlier, leaving him alone with memories that haunted every corner of the mansion. One late evening, while returning from a long journey, Adrian heard a faint sound on the roadside. It was weak and trembling, like the cry of a newborn struggling to breathe. He ordered his driver to stop and walked toward the sound. Near a pile of discarded sacks and broken crates, he discovered a tiny baby girl wrapped in dirty cloth. She was cold, hungry, and abandoned. Adrian's heart tightened. Without thinking, he picked her up and held her close, feeling her fragile heartbeat. He carried her home, ordered warm milk, and fed her gently. Slowly, her crying stopped, and she looked up at him with wide eyes before smiling. That single smile changed everything. He decided to adopt her. He named her Elara, believing her presence had brought light back into his dark world. From that day forward, Elara became his entire world. He hired the finest tutors, filled the estate with toys and books, and personally made sure she never lacked affection. As years passed, Elara grew into a gentle and graceful girl with kind eyes and a soft voice. She was loved by servants and admired by visitors. Adrian adored her, but his business empire continued to expand, pulling him away for long periods. Worried that Elara needed a mother figure, he chose to marry again. He married Cassandra Reed, a sophisticated woman with a daughter named Lyra. Cassandra appeared elegant and caring in Adrian's presence. She hugged Elara, praised her manners, and promised to treat her like her own child. Adrian believed he had made the right choice. But Cassandra's kindness was only an act. When Adrian traveled, her true nature surfaced. She adored Lyra and spoiled her endlessly. Lyra wore silk dresses, attended private lessons, and spent her days resting or socializing. Elara, however, was given endless chores. She cleaned rooms, cooked meals, carried heavy baskets, and worked from dawn until late at night. Cassandra constantly criticized her, and Lyra mocked her whenever she could. Elara's only comfort was a small gray stray cat that wandered into the kitchen one day. The cat was timid but gentle, and it followed Elara everywhere. She shared food with it and whispered her worries to it late at night. It became her only friend in the vast, lonely mansion. Cassandra noticed this and grew angry. She hated seeing Elara find comfort in anything. One afternoon, Cassandra called Elara into the dining hall and said she had prepared a special meal just for her. Elara felt a rare sense of happiness and sat down to eat. Halfway through the meal, Lyra leaned back and smiled cruelly. "Do you like it?" she asked. "Yes, thank you," Elara replied softly. Lyra laughed. "You were always asking about that dirty cat. Now you don't need to worry. That dish was your precious pet." Elara froze. The spoon slipped from her hand, and her world shattered. Cassandra only nodded coldly, confirming the truth. Elara ran to her room and cried through the night, her heart broken beyond words. The next morning, Cassandra ordered her to cut grass in the distant fields for the horses. Carrying a heavy basket, Elara walked miles under the burning sun. As evening approached, she noticed something white on the dusty path. A large white snake lay injured, unable to move. Elara hesitated. She remembered what happened to her cat and feared the same fate for this creature, but she could not leave it to die. She gently placed the snake in her basket and carried it home in secret. In her small room, she cleaned its wounds, wrapped it in cloth, and whispered comforting words. She poured a bowl of milk, which the snake drank calmly. Exhausted, she fell asleep beside the basket. Under the moonlight, the impossible happened. The white snake transformed into a tall young man with silver hair and luminous eyes. His name was Kale, ruler of the hidden Serpent realm. He had been injured while traveling in human lands and had expected death, but Elara's kindness had saved him. He watched her sleep and felt something he had never known before: gratitude, curiosity, and a strange warmth in his chest. The next morning, Elara found the snake resting quietly. She smiled and promised to return after finishing her chores. For the first time in years, she felt hope. But Lyra noticed Elara's unusual happiness and grew suspicious. She followed her and discovered the snake hidden in the room. She told Cassandra, and together they planned to kill it. Late that night, they entered Elara's room, carried the snake to the kitchen, and dropped it into a pot of boiling water. Laughing, they returned to bed, convinced they had succeeded. But Kael emerged unharmed, transforming into human form and mocking their foolish attempt. He returned to Elara's room and waited for her. The next day, Elara continued acting cheerful, which confused Cassandra and Lyra. They spied again and saw her speaking to the snake as if it were a person. When Elara jokingly said she would marry him if he were human, Kael revealed his true form and proposed to her. Elara was shocked and speechless. Before she could respond, Kael noticed a glowing mark on her neck. Using ancient magic, he uncovered the truth about her origin. Elara was not an ordinary human. She had been born to a serpent queen who transformed her into a human child to protect her from hunters. On her 18th birthday, she would awaken her serpent powers and return to her true heritage. Elara struggled to accept this truth, but Kael promised to protect her and help her understand her destiny. Meanwhile, Cassandra and Lyra's jealousy turned into fear. They realized Elara was far more than a powerless servant girl. As Elara grew older, strange things began happening around her. Animals listened to her. Water responded to her touch, and her eyes sometimes reflected a golden glow. Cassandra feared losing control over her and planned one final scheme to get rid of her forever. She convinced Adrian to send Elara on a long journey under the excuse of education and social training. But along the way, hired mercenaries attacked the carriage and attempted to kill her. Kael intervened, revealing his power and saving her life. In the chaos, Adrian learned the truth about Cassandra's cruelty and betrayal. Filled with rage, Adrian returned home and confronted Cassandra and Lyra. Evidence from servants, letters, and witnesses revealed everything, from the abuse to the attempted murder. Cassandra was arrested and stripped of her status. Lyra was sent away in disgrace. Elara returned to the estate not as a servant, but as Adrian's rightful daughter and heir. On her 18th birthday, her serpent powers awakened. She transformed into a magnificent serpent queen under the moonlight, then returned to human form, now fully aware of her dual heritage. Kale asked for her hand in marriage, and Adrian, seeing his daughter's happiness and destiny, gave his blessing. Elara chose to unite both worlds, the human realm and the serpent realm, becoming a bridge between them. She vowed to rule with kindness, remembering the pain she had endured and the compassion that had saved her life. The girl once abandoned on the roadside became a powerful queen whose name was remembered in both human legends and serpent myths. And so her story was passed down for generations, a tale of cruelty and kindness, betrayal and destiny, and a girl who rose from darkness to claim her true place in the world.